Are you still contemplating on how to address all your worries of getting quality tools for quality services, ranging from building, mechanics, plumbing, electrical? Look no further. Just rush to Tolzon Tools and More, located at Bursubi Roundabout, adjacent to Afrimed International Hospital. Tolzon Tools and More has very high quality security doors, shower pipes, ceiling fans, smart televisions of various inches, solar panels, tiles of various sizes, welding tools, bulbs of different types, generators, high quality air conditioners, car batteries, carpentry tools, and many more. Tolzon Tools and More has an impeccable record in selling and importing quality tools from Turkey, Italy, China, and Europe. For more information, please call them on +220 36 899 80 +220 77 41279, or you can try them on +220 94 22 684, or you can visit their store at Bursubi Roundabout, few meters away from Afrimed International Hospital.
Good afternoon, viewers. You are watching us live on Caravan News Network. It is your show Face to Face with Cham. My guest today is widely recognized to be a philanthropist, youth activist, and a leader. Due to these enviable features mentioned of him, the people of Banjul Central have massively voted him in as a member of parliament. Mr. Njie, you are welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much, sir.
Mr. Njie, we've just observed that you've been declared as the victor in this recently concluded parliamentary elections. Considering your political connection and your experience in politics, what do you think? What will you highlight to be the factors that led to your victory?
Yeah, actually, our case is a bit different because, as you made mention, I was in the work of philanthropy. I was into community development initiatives, charity work, and also civil society. I'm an activist together with my other comrades who happen to be also part of my campaign team. Together we were able to pull this off. So I could say a very key component as to how we pulled this off was that prior to all this, I really, always had this engagement with my community on the grassroots level. So I was always familiar with the people around me. Through our initiatives, we've been able to, access, and benefit, but also interact with people on the grassroots level in so many different factors and initiatives. So through that, I was well known within the community at large, and even Banjul generally. So I think those are
factors that led to your victory.
Led to, because I wasn't like coming in, I was already a household name coming in. So it's not like I was a stranger.
Beginner
though I'm a beginner in the political, I'm new in the political spectrum, but in terms of community engagement, I was already well known. So I think that was a factor that played a part.
The results of the parliamentary election, came as a surprise to many.
Yeah.
For the first time, the incumbent, that is the president, has no seat in Banjul.
Yeah.
Looking at the infrastructural intervention that the president underwent or have observed within the capital city of Banjul, don't you think there is a betrayal? The outcome of the results of the parliamentary results, is a betrayal to the president.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a betrayal. Actually, I think part of our campaign emphasis was to try and decipher and also to demystify this idea of that slogan like "Delonjukal," like Olaf says it, because I think that is a big factor that has always played a part in I could say not even Gambia but African politics. I help you in this, so you have to you have to help me in this part as well. So I think for the first time in history, I think people are starting to do away with those kind of sentiments that the president is the president. When it was his time to, when it was his time for the presidential elections, people with due diligence went out in massive numbers and voted for him. And also in terms of, and I want to make this very clear, in terms of project implementation, the president shouldn't be applauded, for putting or setting up any project here in the Gambia, because that was why we voted him in, And these are, these are resources that are, from taxpayers' money. Others are from the aids that are usually donated to the Gambia. These are the monies, these are the financial means used, to put through these projects. So as a citizen, this is what's expected of our leaders. So technically, we don't owe the president or anyone any form of allegiance, for setting up a project here, because that's what's expected of them. So this is our project. It's from our own monies. It's from taxpayers' money. So in fact, it should be the other way around. People should be applauded. For putting in someone who's able to put through these projects for them. So I think these are things that we need to demystify and do away with. So on the contrary, in terms of the election aspect, the presidential election has passed, right? So this was another opportunity for people, for residents, to choose wisely as to who they want to represent them in the House. So this is a different facet. It's not like we voted in the president, so we have to vote in people that he endorsed. It shouldn't work like that. People, for the first time in Banjul, Banjul, I have to applaud the people of Banjul this time around, because they voted with due diligence. They voted with a clear conscience as to exactly the type of people they want representing them in the House.
In the
so
House of Parliament.
It wasn't based on any strings attached. It wasn't based on any partisan, conflict. It was strictly based on these are the people we want, and we will vote them in. And that's exactly what they practice.
In your campaign, or if you looked at your programs, your campaign is anchored on 4 principles.
Yeah.
That is, you have a better representation, scrutinization, inclusion, and legislation. What strategy have you put up in your constituent level to implement this agenda?
Yeah, as you can, as I always make mention of, if you don't plan, you are almost doomed to fail. I think though we are not veteran politicians, but coming in, we were very genuine as to exactly what direction we wish to take Banjul Central to. So for that matter, we were able to reach out to the general populace, the electorates of Banjul Central, discuss with them. This was prior to even the campaign period, to try to extract exactly what they felt that was lacking in the constituency and how they really wanted to be represented. So from these things, we were able to gather much information, as to exactly how they want to be represented. So from there, that's how we came up with our 4-point agenda, whereby we didn't come with too ambitious things, we'll be setting up roads for you guys, or we'll be building hospitals and all that stuff. We are coming in as lawmakers. Our job, our role is to try to influence policies, programs, and also make laws that will be of benefit to the constituency specifically, but also generally on a national level. So these are the things that we sold to them. So currently, as I am already voted in, I already have a guideline. I have a guide. My guide is this 4-point agenda. These are the things that I sold to the electorates.
Implement, because this is the promise that you've made.
Exactly.
And then you don't want to be very ambitious.
Exactly.
As to what you should do.
We were very specific as to which areas we want, what areas of intervention we wish to look into. That's our guide.
We also looked at your engagement.
Yeah.
When you look at your trajectory, you have a quite long-standing experience working with young people.
Yeah.
And these are the people that massively voted for you in this parliamentary election.
Yeah.
How would you influence the policies, of young people to ensure that their issues are addressed in the parliament?
Yeah, actually, this will be part of our key priority areas. Because as you can see, there's youth employment. The underemployed are here as well. There aren't many opportunities in the Gambia whereby youths will have the opportunity, to be able to go out there, and find proper jobs befitting of them, to be able to serve themselves and cater for their families as well, And this, I can say, this is around the globe, across the board, and that in the advent of this coronavirus as well, things have just become more difficult, So we'll try in our own different ways to make sure that we knock each and every door that we feel that, there might be opportunities out there for the youths, but also to make sure that with the constituency development fund that will be allocated with, to make sure we try and have a revolving fund whereby some of the proceeds will be
planned back,
will be used to organize initiatives that will be of benefit to the youths. There's so much we're working on in the pipeline. In so many different sectors.
All right.
Because we want to, I want to set committees whereby areas of intervention will be demarcated, and we'll make sure that we have a calendar, a year-long calendar with quarterly activities, and also a long-term plan whereby we'll know exactly what we wish to do and how we want to do it. So right now I'm strategizing as to how to put through this, these measures, aside from my oversight functions in the national assembly.
Women in general are sometimes sidelined in the developmental process. Women rights advocates have presented a bill to the 5th Parliament for consideration, which was eventually dropped. And then advocates have referred to the 5th Parliament as inconsiderate to the needs and wants of the women, of women in general. How do you think, or what importance can the National Assembly play in the welfare of women in a country?
It can play an immense role, really, because as you can see, women are quite, I could say they are a gem in any nation. They say if you want to build up a nation, try and empower women. So empowering women has many different facets. There are many different ways of empowering women. There was a women bill that was introduced, and unfortunately, it got disrupted at some point. I think it wasn't a bad move. It wasn't a bad move trying to allocate some couple of spots for women to take a leadership role in the parliament. But notwithstanding, it's a level playing field. I'm urging each and every woman out there that is aspiring to, partake any position in the political spectrum to, come on board, do your level best. You could see the likes of Abdoulie Njie, you could see the likes of Cham, Honorable Cham, as well, and other very vibrant women out there, who went out there, fought for themselves, and were allocated the seat, But still, so as we are in, we'll try and talk with the relevant stakeholders and also see as to not only the women's bill, but there is also the disability bill. The anti-corruption bill is also hanging. The draft constitution is also hanging. So we have a lot of work to do, and hopefully we'll try to at least influence these things to see if they could be brought back.
The Gambia Participates report have indicated a very huge discrepancy in the participation of women in Gambian politics. What advice would you give to especially the political players to ensure inclusivity, inclusivity in the political spectrum?
I think inclusion is key in everything that is women and differently able as well. And these have been, if you check my 4-point agenda, these are priority areas in the 4th point, which is inclusion. So I think for a start, we could just start with the political parties. We could start there actually, whereby a certain percentage, can be allocated to women, so that they could start having that that leadership drive, in order to prepare them, for the bigger stages. That can be a good start, And also, but the most important thing is, I think most of the time, women usually, proclaim, and complain that they've been marginalized or they've been put in aside and all those stuff, But the thing is, I think sometimes they lack the courage. They lack the courage to come up there and stand for themselves. Because if I could give you an example, someone like Honorable Abdoulie Njie, she's known to be very vocal, She stood up for herself, she sold her agenda, and she was voted in. And she was voted in then, and also she got re-elected.
But don't you think that because of the masculine superiority, that the men see themselves as if they are the superior over women, that alone would stamp in the spirit of women to participate in anything, Mr. Njie?
In some cases, yes, it happens. In some cases, I could say, in some cases it happens, But what I always call for is, because when it comes to in a genetic setting, in terms of gender, men and women are not equal in certain facets, But when when we talk about, political participation, socio-economic, towards socio-economic development and so many other sectors, I think women can play a very, very big part. You don't need to be, promote that masculinity to be able to, handle certain positions.
Okay.
So I think we also men should try to
encourage
in our own capacities to encourage women as well to make sure they participate in this, in any level playing. It's a level playing field to participate in anything they want, and also we men should also make sure we don't only encourage them but also guide them along the way to make sure they reach their goals as well. Yeah.
Communities have been heavily divided due to the political affiliations.
Yeah.
What mechanism do you put in place as a member of parliament, for your constituents to ensure that there is a unity and inclusivity in all the activities that you do?
Yeah, as I just mentioned earlier on, currently I'm working on my development committee, which a committee I'll be working with throughout my 5-year tenure. Whereby we'll make sure we have 3 constituencies in Banjul Central. We'll make sure through that committee we'll filter it down to the ward development committees of our councillors. We'll also try to engage our councillors. We'll try and engage the youth groups, the cultural groups, the religious groups. We'll also try and have an advisory board, and we'll also try to create a subgroup for the differently able, as I promised during my campaign.
That's inclusion.
Exactly. We'll also try. There are already like women bodies within the constituency. They call them tours. But they are segmented based on exactly what facet they are in. So we'll make sure that we use these, we use these groups, call up a general meeting whereby we'll have a discussion, we'll sell our agenda to them, and exactly discuss with them exactly where we wish to take Banjul Central and what part they have to play in that.
Okay.
So through that we could build a unified force whereby anything pertaining to development in Banjul Central will be in unison. So these are one of us.
I think that is a good decision that older communities could also copy from Banjul.
Exactly.
Quite often, laws are being implemented by the members of the legislature, but implementation of these laws that are beautifully designed by the members of the parliament remains a major challenge, Mr. Njie. What advice would you throw to the other organs of government to ensure these laws are effectively and efficiently executed?
Yeah, actually, once it gets into Parliament, there is no other organ, that has anything to play in this. Once it reaches Parliament, it's our role to scrutinize anything brought forward to make sure that it's fit for purpose, and if it's for the benefit of the general populace, we try our level best to make sure it goes through. But the problem is the partisan politics do play a huge role in being a barrier in certain laws, that should, I would say might, but should have gone through. One is the draft constitution, if not anything, but let's just take a look at it. If there's anything that one feels that is irrelevant or isn't fit for purpose, we could debate about it and just try and replace it, or try to replace it with something better. Let's say I also made mention of the anti-corruption bill, the disability bill. All these things are so important, and these people are part of us. When can you remember when anyone was held accountable in the Gambia here for malpractice, for fraudulent activities, for anything? It has never happened here before.
So
these are very important things But the problem is why most of these bills don't go through is because of the partisan politics. The party affiliations. Like something might come up, that might be in the best interest of the general populace, but it sometimes might not be in the best interest of the executive. In these cases, like if they are the majority, they'll choose not to vote these things in. So these are some of the challenges that
yes. I'm also talking about the issue of implementation. Example, we have the anti-littering bill that was introduced. All right, but yet still, when you go to the communities, you find out that most of the places are being littered. So it means that these laws are forgotten. So how do you feel as a member of parliament? You you sit down in a parliament for a long hour debating over something, and it is approved. You implement it into a law, and effective implementation of those, the enforcement of those laws are
That's
not
a really
in place.
good question. Yeah, the problem is once it's passed, for example, then that's the end of it. But that's actually just halfway. Mechanism should be put in place to make sure that the security sector is put in. Let's say, example, the Public Order Act is still, it needs to be enforced. It's already there already. The only thing it needs right now is just enforcement in making sure that if you do this,
you get that punishment.
You get this type of punishment. So with that, and also the right amount of sensitization, in the news outlets, the media, and also public policing. Like public policing is quite important as well. Example, like if you see someone littering, you might approach them and tell them this is like immoral, something like that, to at least
address
the situation on the spot. These are all things that need to be put in place. But after passing these laws, there are other factors that are needed in making sure that these things are enforced. So those are the things that are lacking.
But in your own opinion, do you think that a political affiliations or partisan interest could also deter, the implementations of these beautiful laws outside?
Definitely. That's the only problem I could say. That's the only problem I could say.
That is quite interesting.
Because you'll have two balls to jungle. Right, something might come up. You are part of a party, but something it might be in the general interest of the populace. But then again, it might not be in the best interest of your party. Then you will also calculate that once I vote no in this, I will have problem with my party, and even my reputation, or even I might end up losing my seat in whatever capacity I have in the party. So these are factors that they sometimes have to jungle with. So most of the time, unfortunately, they would look at their self-interest and sometimes vote these laws out
and forgetting about
the expense of the general.
You see, that becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So the appointment of Fabakary Tombong Jatta and Sidy Njie as nominated members of the parliament by the president, the move, which was frowned at by the citizens of this country. I want to ask you, what is your personal feeling and your stand on this matter? Are you in for their appointment or against their appointment as a newly elected member of parliament?
Okay. So in anything, I like to be very objective in things, right? So according to the constitution, these are people who were nominated by the nominated members from the president, right? Which is part of the constitution as mandated, right? So the cry right now is the moral setting, is the moral aspect of things, right? The aforementioned, the people that you've mentioned, they have a prior history, before being voted in as, the speaker and the vice speaker, right? It's not an open secret, so it has a certain moral setting to it. So the reason for the public outcry is both the speaker and the deputy speaker had a history. Example, in the parliament, the current speaker was once a majority leader. So many people feel that many laws that were repealed, many amendments that were made that were in favor of the then former regime, that enabled them to make so many atrocities, they were part and parcel, they were enablers of that, So this has prompted the public outcry from everybody. Then you go to the deputy speaker, people are taking reference from the former the last impasse that we had, that was just over the roof, So if you check on a moral setting, like they are citizens of this country. If you check by the constitution, they were nominated, rightly so, according to the right procedures, yes. But on a moral setting, it's not. I don't think they are fit to be there.
Now, looking at their history,
because also track record is very important in public appointments. So, so rightly so, people have every reason.
Looking at their history, according to the critics, their hands have been stained. For what they have done. In supporting the former regime, conducting some kind of atrocities. Don't you think they will definitely sour your relationship, the members of the parliament and the heads up there, that is the speaker and the deputy speaker.
Yeah.
How do you think this will filter down to your proceedings?
It will definitely have an impact. It will definitely have an impact because currently there are certain remarks, even from the speaker, that he should be non-partisan, because the Speaker of the House. There are certain comments that he shouldn't have uttered in terms of in relation to Yaya Jammeh and the former regime and all those stuff. So these are things that I don't know what to make of these things, but it would really have a big impact in our parliamentary proceedings. Because and the other thing is in Parliament there are people that are called yes men. And unfortunately, they are the majority. So
how will you not be part of those yes men?
No, I'm not. If I aspire to be part of those yes men, I would have aligned myself to any party.
Anyway, I'll come to that yes men. My question will address that.
Okay.
Now, have you, as a member of Parliament, then as a citizen of this country, have you noticed any irregularities in Barrow's government? And if there is, how do you think, or what will you recommend to be the corrective measures?
Wow, if you want to make mention of irregularities,
some of the irregularities.
Wow, there are a handful actually. Let's say, how many scandals have you had, in the past couple of years? How many monies have been missing in state coffers, and so many other things. If not even the reason why most of the people are really damning the current government is in most cases they are really silent in so many things, and these are things that need clarity. These are things that need to be addressed in so many capacities, so that at least people will know exactly where we stand in these things, because some of these monies that are missing, they are state resources. They are taxpayers' money, nobody is held accountable still. So that in itself is a problem. You come to our seas, our seas have just been leased out there to these Chinese people, doing whatever they want, dumping some of the waste product in our shores, nobody is talking about it, Then look at our vast lands. Look at the Jahali Pacha. It's not been taken full advantage of. And we are in the pandemic season. We are in the pandemic. We are in the pandemic, and also look at the war on Ukraine. It's affecting market shares.
Yes.
It's affecting oil prices and everything. So these are times whereby government needed to step in. With our own resources, we would have had allocation that would be at least subsidize ourselves in a certain capacity, so as to limit at least the vast amount of importation. But the problem is we are not utilizing our resources enough to be able to at least come halfway.
Okay.
So these are all things that are part of our
So
problems,
in your own thinking,
among many others.
What do you think the members of the parliament could do to address these key problems that continue to deter the developmental process of this nation? Just in brief.
Briefly, our role as members of parliament is to put due diligence to the responsibilities we've been given. We all swore an oath to, oath of allegiance, to make sure that, we follow protocols, we follow due process, and we'll put Gambia first before anything, So these things are already always brought in. We have committees, we have select committees, we are all part of select committees, That's where most of the parliamentary, work goes to, there are even committees whereby, they monitor government project implementations, to try and come back with relevant reports that will, address certain issues, So in parliament, we do have information. We can extract information. We have the powers, we can hold our, public office holders into account. We have that mandate, we have that power, we have that immunity. But the problem is, we are not bold enough sometimes to address these issues due to partisan, conflicts or inclinations. So, it's a hell of a long journey. But what can I say? That's why when it comes to parliamentary issues, all I can say is I can only speak for myself. because as you can see, you've even started seeing some independents jumping ship, right? You know, you've seen some other people are yes men, they're only bought in, you know, just so as anything that comes, you just pass it through without any proper scrutinization. So these kind of things deter our work as lawmakers. Exactly.
Okay. The president of the republic may use his influence, may use his affluence to over the independent candidate to support his agenda in the parliament. Where are you positioned in this? Should we see Njie jumping from independent to the independent to to support the president's agenda, or you are more of a liberal-minded personality in the parliament?
Yeah, I think have already demonstrated that during my campaign, because during our campaign, you know, we were one of many candidates that were really, you know, up for grabs, I could say. So we were approached by different parties, you know, for us to align with them, you know. But we decided to stick with our principles. We decided to, you know, stick with our programs and policies, you know, and our agenda, and we sold it to the people of Banjul. NPP is a party, you know. If you lean with NPP, you know, we will have the financial muscle to push through, or we would have, you know, I could say the human resource needed, you know, in order to go through, you know. But we forgo all that because we had a belief. Number one, we had a belief in ourselves, you know. We knew that the changes that we wish to put through in Banjul Central, you know, it can't be party affiliated, you know. We had our special programs and policies that we wanted to implement, you know. So once we aligned with any party, that would have deterred us, you know. It would have, I could say, not being very conducive environment for us to be able to set down our plans as we want, you know. Okay. So these things were bought in, and we rejected them. We went for ourselves, and we had victory. So what I want to make very clear is there's something we sold to the electorates, which is what we came in as an independent candidate. You know, people voted for us, you know, as an independent candidate. If you check most election processes, you know, like in Banjul Central, we had 7 candidates. We were 7 in number. So when there are 7 candidates, for example, the more the candidates, you know, the better it is for the incumbent. So you could see how, you know, we were able to pull it off. It was a tough battle, but we were able to pull it off, you know. So there's something we sold to our electorates. We sold it to them, and they bought it, and they voted us in because of our policies and what we had for them.
Okay.
You know, so
during
we
the
have
campaign period.
Exactly. So those are the principles that we will abide by throughout our campaign.
Finally,
and something I just want to add to it. It doesn't make us an opposition or you know, anti-progress or anything. I want to make it very clear, like. You don't have to jump ship to be able to collaborate with the city council or the government or any other relevant stakeholder towards nation development or towards the development of Banjul or towards the development of Banjul Central. You know, we are open to work with anybody, but only for developmental purposes.
So, how would you predict the performance of the 6th Parliament and compare to the 5th Parliament in terms of performance?
To be honest, I could only speak for myself, but also I really have hope in this new parliament. Through several interactions with some of these newly elected parliamentarians and also the old folks that we met there, you know, I think they sound really objective in their, you know, sense of direction. And we've also agreed collectively that once we are in parliament, we'll try as much as possible to put aside our partisan, you know, outfits, you know, and see Gambia as a nation. And anything that comes forward, we'll make sure, you know, we objectively, debate it, you know, to make sure that we uproot things that we feel that will be in the benefit, you know, of Gambia as a whole. So these are the things that we've made commitments in. You know, but it's politics. You never know. Things do change. But I really am hopeful of this 6th legislature, and I really so want it, so yearn for it that, you know, we'll be much better than the 5th legislature.
Your final remarks, Mr. Njie.
Yeah.
Platform.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to meet up with me here to grant this interview. it's always a pleasure to have this interview with Kibaro. You guys are very Kairaba, sorry, Kairaba. You guys are very professional in your settings and everything, and it's always a pleasure as well to grant you these opportunities. So the final word I just want to put out there is we are young, this is our first time into politics, and we are lucky enough to be voted in. So we are still young, we are open for ideas, for direction, for any developmental initiative that will be of benefit to the general masses, and also I'm also taking this opportunity to also thank my electorates, for having trust and confidence in me, and also want to reiterate my promise that, all the things that we made sure we promise within a 4-point agenda, we'll try our level best to at least execute 80% of it, or even more than that, by God's grace. And also, I want to take the opportunity as well, equally to encourage my fellow youths that are having doubts as to running for any public office. It's our time. The future is now. If we don't stop the procrastination, I'm thinking that certain positions are only meant for people with more experience and stuff. When we will actually learn. Yeah. So we always have to try and get the prerequisites, that is, try to at least have have a certain level of academic education, that's the first step, and also to try to engage in as much as possible in community development initiatives. If you can in charity work, if you can in civil society, try to upscale your capacity, try to enhance yourself, give yourself a moral boost as well, being able to have the courage, the confidence to stand up for yourself and your people as well. And the rest, it works for itself. Like in my case, have been always in the grassroots, in charity work, in all these facets that I've laid down, and eventually it was even my people who came calling that they needed my services, Then, after weighing myself, then I decided to take up the challenge. So if at all I was sitting on a corner, contemplating, should I do this, should I not, do I have the experience, do I not, on all those stuff, I wouldn't be here now.
I remember in meeting you for the first time, you told me that you were confident of victory, and surely that paid dividends.
Definitely.
So thank you so very much, and once again, we say congratulations.
It's a pleasure.
For your election.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. So viewers, that brings us to the end of the show. I was your host, Alkali Cham. This is your show, Face to Face with Cham. Thank you.